Okay, so in the other video I did actually say that there was going to be, I would explain the elephant in the room, and the elephant in the room is, hello and welcome to Swabies, No Bees Bought British Beekeeping. This is part 2 of Apiaries from Swarms. Just want to say first off that I have no problem with people who buy bees or queens from the internet. I'd probably be doing exactly the same myself if I hadn't have found it quite so easy to actually catch them from my local area. Anyway, I did say that I would maybe give a couple of reasons why people might think it's a bad idea to catch swarms. Uh, Problems like they can fetch in disease, or they can be aggressive, or they can be swarming. Pretty much all of which I've actually come across over the last 3 years. I have a swarm that I caught last year in an apiary, which is about 11 miles away from here, and I will not be splitting from those because soon after they moved in, they decided they were going to cast another swarm. And when I put that swarm back again, they cast another one. So I won't be taking any splits off of them. I'm going to class those as too swarmy. Another hive I had was fairly aggressive, and was that one there. For some reason, they were fairly mean. So I dealt with the queen, requeened, and they calmed right down. That was the latter part of last year. Now, I have had swarms that I've taken from other places. I brought in from up the other end of the village, actually. And up there, when I was looking after them, they were miserable as hell. They were really, not very nice. I take the swarms or the splits out and I fetch them down here. I put them in down here and they're absolutely fine. Now, the big difference between down here and up there was down here they're in the sun. They're not in shade. It's not dull, dark and murky, which is pretty much what it was up the other end. But down here they were fine. They were really good. So there was only 2 of them anyway. And one of them I gave away last year. So there's that. I mean, there is the possibility that you can fetch in disease. That one you do have to be a bit cautious about. But I think with anything you've got to be cautious. If you're buying in bees, you can find all of these problems if you're purchasing bees. Probably not so much. A bit like the chances of bringing in disease. Probably not as much of a problem with disease buying or getting them from the wild. But aggressiveness. Well, people buy packaged bees and they find that they're aggressive. They find the queens don't last. It's a chance you take. As far as any of these bees being aggressive, apart from the ones that I dealt with in that one, I've never had a problem with any of them. I mean, even those ones, just walking around the apiary, I was never stung. I've never been stung walking around the apiary. You see some people walk around and they've got clouds of bees around their heads. Well, that's never happened. So, well, not to me. So that's all I can say is the swarms that I've caught have been really good. Okay, so in the other video I did actually say that there was going to be, I would explain the elephant in the room, and the elephant in the room is, I can feel the love for this already. I'm not treating. I've treated these bees once in 3 years. I did have somebody contact me the other day actually and said, they're not treating. If they survive, great, and they're fairly hard. They think they're fairly hard on their bees because they're not treating and they're not feeding. Well, depending on where they've come from, sorry, these two are sodding about. Depending on where they've come from, could you actually consider that to be hard? I mean, if you've got hives that you've bought in that are from unmanaged sources, like where are you? That one and that one, have come from an out apiary. No, they've not been managed for, to the best of our knowledge, for 5 years. So, you know, if you're fetching them back or you're catching them and you're not treating, is that being hard on them? If you're not feeding them, is that being hard on them? I mean, I feed all of these. They're all, every single hive, Langstroth hive, is a single brood with a 5-inch eek, with a 5-inch eek. It's got a takeaway container, 1 litre takeaway container with sugar brick, and also a couple of layers of pretty much raw wool on top. And that's the way I've been overwintering them. And I don't know whether I said in the last video, so far I've lost 1 hive this winter, and that's because the queen stopped laying. So that's the other thing I want to do, is fetch in some outside genetics and set myself up a decent amount of drones, and try and help, you know, diversify with the actual amount of drones that any queen here is going to be able to mate with. Try and get it up to the magical 16 mark with any luck. Anyway, yeah, I am not treating, but I am monitoring. All the hives have varroa floors, and even this time of the year I'm going out every fortnight and I'm checking the varroa balls just to see exactly what's happening. I've given it a very simple score of 0 to 4. 0 meaning that there's absolutely 0 mites on the board, and yes, there are a number that had that. 4 meaning that you know, the board's actually covered and you can't see the floor in varroa, and yes, I had that at one point year before last, and that was the last time I actually treated anything. I'm going out every 2 weeks just to have a look and see, and if there are any hives that are really bad, then we'll see about treating. But you know, if I know that these hives have come from unmanaged sources, then I'm going to let them do their thing.